Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome again to a Super Concepts webinar in relation to SuperMate. Today we have a very special webinar around our launch of our SuperMate Portfolio product. So it's a very special launch webinar, so we're glad you could join us today. Just some housekeeping before we do get started. If you're having any audio issues, we do find it is sometimes a better option to switch to audio via your phone. The relevant numbers should be on your screen in front of you there. The webinar we do like to make as interactive as possible. So we'll have some polls running throughout the next hour. There is a chat function and also questions box as well via GoTo. As I said, if you do have any questions, please pop them in that questions box. It's on the right-hand side of your panel on GoTo, and we'll hopefully have some time dedicated at the end to answering those, or we can answer them as we go as well. And lastly, if you do have any technical issues or want to chat with any of our team, please use that chat function. As I said, we do have some dedicated people online that can help you if you're having some technical issues as we go. All right, let's moving along. So just a little bit about Super Concepts and its suite of services rather. Super Concepts is the largest provider of SMSF services in the country. We provide holistic solutions to SMSF trustees, accountants, financial advisors. We also partner with many brokers, banks, and other SMSF providers such as auditors and actuaries. Our services cover the gambit of solutions within the SMSF space, whether that's full end-to-end administration, establishment and documentation services, or a wholesale offering where you can remain in control of the client, or whether you want to use our software solution to have your team complete the financials and tax returns. Super Concepts is capable of doing absolutely all of that. You should be able to see a lot of those details on there. We currently administer upwards of 14,000 SMSF funds per year, and we have circa 41,000 at last count funds on SuperMate, which is our dedicated SMSF software. We also have a very own technical services team rather. You may have seen some of those doing the rounds of the technical summits or conferences or anything like that. We'll have a little bit more of a discussion around what they do later on in the webinar. So if we haven't met before, my name is Gary Johnston and I am the National Manager of Software Sales here at Super Concepts. And today I'm joined by Product Design Manager rather, Reese Hopper. Good to see you again there, Reese.
Thanks, Gary. Good to see you too.
Thanks, buddy. Today we would normally have our CTO Andy Forbes, who joins us a lot of the times with these webinars, but unfortunately he's unwell. So get well soon, mate. We'll hope you're listening online and hopefully we're doing you proud. We have plenty to look at over the next hour. The new SuperMate software, which is our flagship SMSF software, has been in the marketplace for most of this year. It's been, getting rave reviews about its end-to-end processing power. But today we are focusing on the product launch that is powered by that software. And today we are launching our SuperMate Portfolio platform. Those who know SuperMate, SMSF software, well, you'll see a lot of similarities today. So obviously, being powered by SuperMate, there's a lot of intricacies and things that we can do across both platforms. So you can run them either in conjunction with one another, or you can run SMSF Portfolio or SuperMate Portfolio as a standalone. So indeed, our classic version of this product has been around for a very long time, and it has a lot of functionality and should save you time in the long run. But today we do release the SuperMate Portfolio. In it, you'll benefit from the power and efficiency of our flagship SMSF software. Lastly, before we get started, a recording of the webinar will be made available in the days following the webinar, so just look out for it via your emails. All right, I think that's good. Let's get into it. So I guess the first question that kind of comes to my mind is why portfolios? So, and especially like what's the nexus and the connection between SuperMate, a very much an SMSF product, and portfolios? And it's a really great question. So, because SuperMate isn't is considered strictly an SMSF product, but the thought of portfolios isn't new. So it's been inside the SuperMate ecosystem in our classic version of the software for a very long time. So it's not something that's really new to us. And now, after we've had our SMSF software SuperMate new in the marketplace for the last little bit, it's a good time to actually roll out the portfolio side of that as well. So Reese and myself over the next 45 minutes to an hour, we'll give you some reasons why SuperMate might be a valid choice or option for your clients. We'll go through a lot of what it can do, its power, and how you can harness that to better, improve your business efficiencies and outputs. We are seeing more and more activity in the portfolio space recently, so it's a great time to discover what options are out there in the marketplace and how we might be able to assist you. So the agenda today, it's a pretty jam-packed agenda. Like we'll actually do a software demo. So I've got Reese scheduled to do that. The SuperMate Portfolio demo is the nuts and bolts of the presentation. So you'll see that in the middle part. First, I'll give you an introduction to the SuperMate Portfolio platform and its benefits. Reese will give us a little bit of a soft recap on the software, SuperMate software that's been out for a while. Then we'll do the demo. We'll talk about some pricing details and a special offer in relation to the SuperMate Portfolio pricing. And then we'll have, time permitting, of course, a Q&A at the end. So please do ask us anything that you would like to cover. Okay, let me see if I've got anything else. I don't. As you may be aware, like we do like to make these as interactive as possible. So the first thing that we'd like to do is run some polls, so just to get the audience interaction going, get you thinking about what we're trying to talk about today. So the first thing that I've got here is a poll in relation to portfolios, and it's around the lines of what portfolios do you manage as part of your service offering. So obviously we're strictly SMSF here at Super Concepts. So that's part of it, but it's always good to know what else is out there. So obviously the big thing from where we sit is the changes to the superannuation rules limiting the amount of pension and amounts that can be held in the SMSF space have kind of created a flow-on effect where people and clients are moving their assets or non-super assets into a different structure, whether that be trust companies, individuals, partnerships, or something else. I'm not sure if you're seeing the same thing. If you are, I'd love to hear your comments in the chat. But we see that, and we're seeing a lot more of that in recent times, that we're actually seeing a lot more people have their wealth outside of super, so in trusts, etc. It's probably no surprise then that half of all Australians own investments outside of the super and their primary residential property. So it's a good time to have a look and see how we're sitting in terms of what we're offering our clients. All right, I think that poll has been going for the right amount of time. I'll close that now. So thank you for that, and I'll share those results with you. Sorry, bear with me as I pop that on the screen. And you can see that, as expected, a lot of people have trusts, which is exactly what we're seeing as well, companies and individuals as well. So obviously a broad gamut of accountants on the call today, which is great. So hopefully you should be able to get something out of today that you probably may not have seen before. All right, I'm going to hide that. Hopefully that should bring me back. It does. Good. Everything's working as it should. All right, so SuperMate. What is SuperMate Portfolio is probably where we should start here. So SuperMate Portfolio is the super concept solution to your trust, company, partnership, other kinds of vehicles reporting needs. We have long been in the SMSF and portfolio space through our SuperMate Classic product. This is a solution that allows you to track investments, automate data entry, and utilize customizable reporting, allowing you to make real-time decisions for your clients. SuperMate Portfolio harnesses all of the processing power of SuperMate, including data feeds, registry feeds, and pricing. Data Hero, so we'll talk a little bit about Data Hero today. So if you haven't seen that, it's a really good time to have a look at that. To make completing the tasks that you would do as part of your investment portfolios quicker and ultimately adding more profitability back to your business. So that's what we're all about, making things quick and efficient, point to point. So the benefits of the SuperMate Portfolio service or platform, as I already mentioned, the SuperMate reporting suite is the envy of the SMSF sector. Utilizing the portfolio function in SuperMate gives you and your clients access to these reports. So these reports are really good, and Reese will probably touch on those a little bit more later on as well. They're easy to read, provide useful and timely information, and your clients will be blown away by their style and professionalism. Okay, so the second one there is taxation support. So using the power of SuperMate Engine, our portfolio service gives you great support for automatic CGT and capital gains discount calculations, which will make time saving efficiencies in your business. You're able to quickly print a report and see exactly where that client is at, and then you're able to make decisions based on that. So it's a really quick and easy way to make sure that your clients are up to speed with that reporting requirement. Okay, so a couple more there on why SuperMate Portfolio and its benefits. Easy onboarding. So as Reese will show when we do get to the demo, putting a new entity on the platform is very easy. It's as is bringing across any existing entities as well. You can set up a new portfolio fast with preloaded templates and a drag and drop function. So Reese will really show you how easy it is to put one of these things on the system and how quick you can do it. Okay, so the other one is, and it's an interesting one, is Consolidated Software and Portfolio and SMSF administration. So what we're saying there is that if you use SuperMate, cool, you'll already know how to use the software. Why not leverage your knowledge of software and leverage that and use it for your knowledge in terms of your portfolios? So having them both run on the same platform means that you don't have to relearn two different things or three or four different products in order to understand how to do something. SuperMate Portfolio enables you to expand your service offering and unlock new revenue streams for existing clients with investments. SuperMate Portfolio will help your clients make better investment decisions and potentially create new revenue streams. Plus, you won't need to duplicate software knowledge, as all of the same functionality that lives in SuperMate SMSF is used to power our SuperMate Portfolio. As we have found out today, portfolios are not a new thing, and I'm sure many of you on the webinar today have exposure to them on an almost daily basis. Why not utilize SuperMate Portfolio to make your life easier, make you look great to your clients, and generally do things more efficiently, adding time and money back into your day? With all that being said, we are now ready to look at what the software looks like and how it works. Reese will run the demo of the new SuperMate Portfolio, as well as give us a recap on and a reminder on SuperMate SMSF. Over to you, Reese.
Thank you, Gary. I'm just going to share my screen and hopefully present the right screen. All right, you should be seeing my screen now. Before I jump into the SuperMate webinar, I did want to just give an overview about some of the SuperMate SMSF that we've presented on previously. I do have a list of about 40, 50 items I could talk for hours for, but this is the top 10 I wanted I could fit on the page. And then the top five that I really want to highlight is the Data Hero AI documentation extraction, where you can upload a bank statement, and our other program, Data Hero, it sends it to Data Hero, it extracts the transactions, so it's really good. It's not just identifying documents, but it's processing, extracting information from that document. The Sleek property processing worksheet, where you can use our property settlement worksheet in SuperMate to store all your data, produce a work paper to provide to the tax the auditor and the team leader reviewers. We have a transparent, customizable chart of accounts, so you can access the chart of accounts. You can change account names, chart details. It's quite a flexible chart of account. Our streamlined ATO lodgement screen. So if you're watching any of the previous webinars, you would have seen our new intuitive lodgement screens, which replicate what an annual return actually looks like, and the process that flows through being able to lodge. And then transaction processing suggestions. So something which I will show in the portfolio one. But But it's just the ability of when you're processing a transaction, if we think other transactions are processed the same way, it'll identify it, and it's going to really speed up your processing because by processing one transaction, you're really processing multiple. So I'll jump into the SuperMate Portfolio demo. And during the demo, what I'll do is I'll show you how quick it is just to set up a user, set up a portfolio, process all the transactions that relate to that portfolio, and then provide reporting for the client, helpful reporting. All right, I'll bring up SuperMate. This is the fund list, so where all your entities sit, where you have portfolios, super funds. And to start setting up a portfolio, all you need to do is come to the add button, select portfolio. So coming back from where the previous webinars are, Jack Webb from the Future Super Fund, he came to us and said, hey, I actually also have all these investments outside Super, and it's starting to become a hassle to track the capital gains and the tax packets and all the AMIT adjustments to it. So I want you to start looking after and provide me reporting for my personal investments. So I will set up the Jack Webb portfolio. Investor type, you can actually select multiple, so individual, joint, partnership, and basically the investor tax type you select dictates what capital gains, discount, tax calculations will occur, because obviously individual, trust, there's different tax application. Then the first financial year that you're reporting for, so Jack's already lodged his 21 tax return for his personal one. He wants us to start from 22 onwards. So I'll start 22 onwards, and as mentioned, he already owns shares, so I want to put the existing holdings in so I can calculate capital gains, etc. So that's 4 quick questions to create the portfolio. It's quite a simple setup. There's only 4 steps. You just need to name the portfolio, or do the initial setup details, put the contacts in, opening balances, and the cost bases. So I'll put Jack's details in. I don't need to do this, but I'll do it while I'm here. I'm not going to worry about any of the address and stuff because I have the super fund, and so I know the details, and I can always go back and do it. The third step is just putting in all the opening balances, so all the assets and liabilities that he wants to track for the portfolio. For Jack, it's just going to be the bank account. So I'll just nickname it Self-Wealth because it's a Self-Wealth account. The balance is $248.48 at 30 June. And it does prompt you to put the BSB and account number in, etc. And one of the reasons you do this is it'll drive automation down the line. So you put the BSB in, it identifies the bank account, and then it can tell you about data feeds. So it's quite helpful to put that in. And I'll add the account. The other assets that Jack holds is some shares, so I can just go shares. Instead of, like, I can put all the shares in individually, all the balances and stuff, but Jack was able just to provide a CSV file with all the tax packets, and you can just simply upload a CSV with all the tax packets, all the opening balances. The system will read the CSV file and it adds in all the different shares. I've got all the assets and liabilities in, so I'll just complete on this step. The last step is a cost-based step, where if I manually put in assets, investments into the portfolio, and just put the opening balances in, you'd come into this screen and you would you'd split up all the tax all the tax packets, basically put them in. But as you can see here, it's loaded the tax packets. I'll select complete, which says, right, it's all done. Let's go to the overview. Now, the SuperMate the portfolio overview. It's quite basic because it doesn't have all the compliance cards that relate to pensions and contributions, because you don't have those implications with a portfolio. So you got your current value, when the last period update is, portfolio details, data feed. So you get that prompt to set up a data feed. I'll put the BSB in, it's yeah, we can get a data feed for that. And then since I haven't actually started processing anything, I don't have any unreconciled transactions. Now, talking about processing transactions, as mentioned at the start, quick setup and then quick processing. So I need to get the fund up to date. With SuperMate and portfolios, where you start processing is in the transactions section. I'll jump into the bank account screen because we have. I'll put all the bank transactions in, and then I'll reconcile the bank transactions. So this is the bank transaction screen. I've already have a bank account because of the setup, but I can easily quickly add bank accounts. I am going to put all the transactions in. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is that Jack was able to give me a bank statement, a PDF, and this is one of the highlights I mentioned earlier with Data Hero. Yeah, so you get the PDFs. So I'll just click Browse and pick a PDF. And what that does is I've uploaded a PDF. It can be a scan. It sends the document off to Data Hero, where it recognizes and it starts extracting the transactions from the statement. So it's gone off. It's recognized it. One of the reasons why I love using this one as an example is that you can see here on the first page, it's got how do you read this account? It's actually got a bank statement, but the system is smart enough to go, actually, I know that's not the real bank statement. Here's the real bank statement. Here's all the transactions, and you can see here that it's actually extracted all those transactions off the statement. All right, so I'll select Save. Obviously, there's more than just 1 month worth of transactions. What I'll do is I'll just select Browse. Jack was generous enough to provide us with a CSV file, so I'll just upload the CSV file, and that'll upload all the CSV transactions. Select Save, and that is going to load in. And you can see here, just processing cash transactions. In a couple of minutes, I've processed 89 transactions. It's quite efficient processing model. The next thing you do is, like, once you get all the bank transactions in, you need to reconcile those transactions. So you basically say, here's all the cash transactions. I want to say whether they're expenses, revenue, buys, sells, and so this is where you do it in the reconciliation screen. You got one side which has the bank tab, and the other side you have the transaction tab. And the transaction one, it's got all the non-cash transactions. You can see here I've got a whole heap of revenue distributions that have been processed automatically by our corporate action system. They don't match off against our cash transactions, and well, the reason why it's not matching off right now is that you might also notice that I have some unprocessed buys and sells, and corporate actions, what they do is they run off based on the unit holding. It's quite handy for situations like this where it identifies, hey, I've got this cash, but I'm expecting this, something's up, maybe I don't have the right number of units. So what I'm going to have to do is get all those trades in. Corporate actions will recognize that the trades have occurred, and it's going to update it. So I'll just jump into Transactions tab, select Load Transactions, and once again, Jack provided me with a CSV file of all the trades, and I'll just upload the trades into the system. And while all these transactions are going in, as I mentioned, the system will go, all right, you've bought some VAS. All right, I had a revenue distribution, rerun it, rerun the corporate actions, make sure that the revenue components get updated correctly. All right, so it's 41 transactions uploaded quite quickly. I'll jump back into my reconciliation tab, and it's going to go off and it's going to start recalculating all those corporate actions. As you can see, the list has already decreased. While it's running off, what I need to do next is process the rest of those transactions. So I'm going to just put this description in date order, alphabetical order, so I can see similar ones. The first couple deposits into the portfolio, so they're just transfers from Jack. He's just putting some money into his self-wealth account. With portfolios, they're just considered deposits, so they're not contributions. You're not limited to contribution caps or anything, so you just quickly process a couple of portfolio deposits. And while that was processing, you might have noticed that my corporate actions have finished running. I do have some that are still need updating or still unreconciled. Looking at Jack's paperwork, the reason why there's no cash transactions that match off against these ones is that these are actually DRPs, so they received additional units rather than cash. Now I can click in here and I can update it from cash to DRP, but what I want to show you is the corporate action screen. So if I jump into the corporate action screen, this is where all the corporate actions are. I can search VAS, which was the unreconciled ones. I can see all of them for the 22 financial year. I select detail, update it to DRP only, and I can tick this box. And what this box does is it'll go, okay, well, I'm going to change this one to DRP. Then I'm going to change all future corporate actions for this asset to DRP. So it's gone off. It's created, changed to DRP, and it's put a note in the system to say whenever there's a corporate action for this asset, it is going to be DRP going forward. Jumping back into the reconciliation screen, you can see all those corporate actions have disappeared. Now, last few transactions, some more deposits. So this time, just instead of allocating them as portfolio deposits, I've noticed there's quite a few of them. So I'll select add rule, and you can, in SuperMate, what you can do is you can create a rule based off certain criteria. So the criteria goes, well, this cash transaction has to fit this criteria for it to be processed in a certain way. You notice that it's picked up one transaction currently, and looking at it, I go, well, the criteria is probably too narrow. The date range is fine. I want to apply it for all periods rather than a range or less than, greater than. The description is fine, but with description, you can always go, it contains external transfer, and does not contain this, but I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to stick with equals. But this amount, well, you're also going to do which direction is receipt or payment, but with the amount, I know that they're not always going to be exactly this amount. So I'll untick it. And when I unticked it, you can see that this transaction rule is now going to apply to all these transactions. It's quite a helpful tool in a way that you can create the transaction rule, and instead of waiting for it to run to check to see if it works, it's going to tell you whether the transaction rule is going to apply to all this. And then down the bottom, you can say which account or accounts you want it to apply to. So portfolio deposit. You can put a description in. If you leave it blank, it's just going to use the bank transaction. And when you split it to multiple account types, you can split it by percentage, so 50-50, or you can do it as a split, like a fixed amount and then remaining amount. So if it's always a fixed amount and the remaining amount, you can split it in that way. So I'm just going to select save and run rules. The last one is this portfolio fee. I am going to go investment administration fee. And something that's really cool that SuperMate does is it goes, okay, you're processing this portfolio fee. I've identified 11 other transactions that we think are the same thing. And what it does is it identifies it. I can untick them. So if I don't want certain transactions processed the exact same way, I can untick them. And then when I select save, it actually goes off and creates a transaction rule. And we found that one's quite handy because a lot of time people go, okay, I know that's needs to be processed in the same way and I'll get future transactions. And I should create transaction rules to help myself out. But then they want to do it later and then they never get to it. Whereas our system goes, okay, well, if you want to process it the same way, well, let's create a transaction rule. So in the future, the transactions will get processed in the exact same way. So now I've got a fund fully reconciled. I can go into the asset section. I can look at the balances of at a certain date. It's a 30th November, or I could go 30th June 22. Update it. All the balances look right. We do have if you attach investor references, we can go and confirm with the registry, so Computer Share, Link Market, and Boardroom. We can go off and confirm those balance holdings. Now that all those are confirmed, I can go to the end of year section. Annual tax statement screen, it identifies all the investments that could possibly have a tax statement for it. So this one, it's identified that it could possibly have one, but at the same time, it didn't receive any distributions. And then for the other four, you have distributions, the number of distributions, and you might notice this estimated tag. And that basically what it does is for a different fund or portfolio, I've already processed tax statements for these investments, and what it's done is it goes, okay, well, based on the proportion of the revenue component split on that fund, I'm going to use the same proportion and estimate it for this fund. And then when you select update, you can see what they believe is the breakup based on estimation. You can do a quick review. I've found most of the time it is quite accurate, and then you can just confirm those tax positions. Another screen we've introduced is the tax parcel matching screen. So for a financial year, you can jump in and you go, okay, well, is the sell method right? Right now it's all least profit. That's what probably what Jack wants. He probably wants to have least profit, but in other circumstances, it could make sense to go most profit or first in, first out, or last in, last out. So you can come in here, update the sell method, rerun the capital gains report to see what impact it made by changing it. I'm not actually going to change anything because it benefits Jack for it to be least profit at this point. So the last thing we need to do for Jack is provide him with a set of reports that he can enjoy looking at the reports, but also use for tax purposes. So I'll jump into the Generate Report suite. And I will do portfolio, do investment reports, last financial year, and I'm going to generate it. While that report suite is being generated, I will point out that you can also go, current financial year, last quarter, last month, or if you're using this as an advisor and then you have a client meeting coming up and you want to talk to them about how how it went for the last 3 months, you can jump in here and change it to what was 3 months ago. to today's date. So you can run it for a three month period, and the report suites will work. While I was showing off the custom date ranges, the reports have finished running. So I'll just jump up here, and this is our report pack. And as Gary mentioned, that we're quite proud of our reports. We think we have the best reports in the industry. You can white label it, so you can see I've put the Super Concepts logo on. I've used Super Concepts colors. It's got the contents. You provide a report and investment summary so they can see what they hold. A portfolio performance overview, so you can see the portfolio value history. So as I was putting money in and the shares were going up, the balance grew, but you can see the returns over time. So, as the stock market went last year, there was a bit of a roller coaster, and then it dipped right before the end of the financial year. You got the time-weighted returns, portfolio expenses, total dollar return after expenses. So it's quite a handy report, and clients love their graphs. You got the tax statement. So once you've put the tax, update all the tax details, you can provide a consolidated tax statement, but you also can have reports here where it breaks it down per the revenue components based on distributions, dividends, the deductible expenses, trust distribution breakdown, so you can see what you actually entered in per investment, and you can have a accrued capital gains report, and you can also have a realized capital gains report, which is quite handy for the client. And you can also run that for a 3 month period. You can also customize these report suites. So if you want to take out, you can have a quarterly report suite, and you can have an end of year one that has a tax, and then you can just have a quarterly one which gives market value updates. So that is the SuperMate demo, showing how quickly you can put a fund on, how quickly you can process all the investment and all the transactions, and then the really beautiful reports that we're quite proud of.
Awesome. Thanks, Reece. That it was really insightful and actually really powerful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take back over the screen. If I can remember how to do that, that will be great. Hold on 1 second. Yes, there it is. I think I have it now. So I'll just share my screen again. Sorry. There it is. Show my screen. Hopefully that should be showing the right screen. It is. Excellent. So Reece has just gave us a great demo on the new SuperMate Portfolio product. So there we are there. It really did showcase the power of the new SuperMate Portfolio in all its glory. And you can clearly see that it has leveraged the power and the sophistication of our SuperMate SMSF product that we've has been developed this year, but also has been in incubation for quite some time. We are confident that you'll love this point-to-point efficiency. So that's the big takeaway from mine, is that everything that you can do, as long as you can do it quickly and efficiently, you'll save yourself some time, money, and ultimately put money back in your pocket, right? So that's what we're all about. So having that point-to-point efficiency really gives us some great leverage for your software needs. You'll also love the AI integration. So there has been some fantastic questions coming through. We've been trying to get to as many as we can there as well. If we don't get to some today, there's some good ones in there. We'll make sure one of our team gets in contact with you to sort those out. Hopefully we've answered a lot of those. We'll touch base on some of those in just a little bit as well. But you should really love that AI integration and the sleek reporting suite that Reece showed. Those reports are really great in terms of getting your clients to make those decisions that they need around which assets should they sell. Not for us to decide, obviously, but if they decide those in conjunction with their advisor or their broker or whoever they use, those reports will absolutely allow you to make those decisions quickly, efficiently, and hopefully the right ones. It'll make all of these things combined will make completing portfolios easy, and for your clients, as I said before, will love the professionalism of the reporting and how sleek and quick everything is. So what we want to do now is we want to talk about, so obviously this is a product launch, so we want to know what kind of features set you would like to see inside a portfolio management software. So I will push that poll out now. So this is great intel for us to figure out, where the product goes, what's on the roadmap, how we can help you, what things you want to see. So some of the things there that we can basically, let me just check to make sure that's working. Yes, it is, sorry. I just didn't see anything ticking over for 2 seconds and I got a bit panicky. But so basically what we want to know is, what things that would you want to see in a portfolio management software that you would really like and that would really help and benefit your business. So you've got your corporate action and data feeds. Obviously, we've already got data feeds and corporate actions sitting in our system. The tax reports, which we've spoken about, the annual trust return or annual return lodgements rather, a document management system perhaps, or maybe it's more data analytical insights that can help you better prepare your clients for those decisions that we spoke about before. We've got a couple of seconds left, about 10. I'll leave that open for a little bit longer. So thank you for all those that are voting at the moment. Really appreciate that. It's some really insightful and useful information for us. I'll close that now, thank you, and I will share that to the group, so you should be able to see that on your screens. It's really interesting. So obviously corporate action and data feeds and the tax reporting is a key I guess lever in terms of what you want to see in the portfolio management software. Annual return lodgements I thought would be higher. Obviously, not everyone needs that. Some people like to put those through Xero or Mile or whatever other software that they're using. So it's not as big a concern as we might have thought. Document management system and data analytics are always great as well. So thank you. Really appreciate you voting on that poll. I will hide that now and move to the next slide, which is the all-important pricing. So what happens next? So if you're interested, obviously in the portfolio service, that's why we're here. This is the pricing model that we've come up with. So the pricing for the new SuperMate portfolio comes at a full rate of $120 per fund per annum. The great thing is that this price includes all of the great functionality that we would expect to see in our flagship SuperMate product, and all of the things that Reece showed today are all a part of that $120 price. So that includes your bank feeds, your broker feeds, your wrap feeds, your registry lookups, and also live pricing. Data Hero, so that's a really useful piece of machinery that sits inside our software. Very powerful and very easy to use. API access if you need it, and as well as our suite of fantastic reports that we've spoken about. What's even better is that for a limited time only, you can get the new SuperMate portfolio at a reduced rate of $96 per portfolio per annum. I got used to saying per portfolio. It's not as easy as it sounds. That's a 20% off for a full 12 months. So all you have to do is register your interest by the 15th of January. So I'm giving you a little bit of time to say, hey, I'm actually kind of interested in that. Get in touch with us by the 15th of January and you can lock in that price and then subscribe before the 15th of February 2023 to lock in that limited offer. Note, this isn't available to our current SuperMate portfolio users, of which we have a few as well. This is only for new users at this stage. Okay, so that takes care of the pricing. What I wanted to touch on before we get into the Q&A is that just to let you know that we do have a technical services team and SMSF education services through our business. So Super Concepts is one of the only accredited SMSF Association accredited CPD point providers. So we like our team to keep us up to date on all the legislation changes and strategies and anything that's coming down the pipeline. They keep us abreast of. They're very good at that, and we just want to make sure that we're building that and making sure people know about it so they can use us as a as a point of contact there as well. So you may have met some of these good-looking fellows before. They've been around the traps for a while, and you would have seen them at some of our conferences. So you may have seen them at SMSFA, for instance, and they all do fantastic work. So they're all a part of our team, and as a part of our offering through SuperMate. So complimentary for all SuperMate users. You do get practitioner webinars. So those are those ones that I spoke about before. In terms of our team, they jump on those and do those all the time. They are valued at $99 each, so you get those complimentary. And we do have a monthly newsletter, so keeping you up to date with all of the industry moving and whatnot that's going on. And also, just so you may not be aware, we do have a podcast that it's up to season 3 now, so it's doing really, really well. And it's a great podcast because it showcases all of the different people, not only in our business, but in businesses that we work with and others that we partner with as well. So you can see exactly, you know, if you want to talk about actuaries or auditors or any of those other kind of functions that you may know about, well, then the podcast is for you. It's a bite-sized 25 to 30 minute kind of podcast that you get every 2 weeks, and it's really great to enhance your knowledge. All of those guys there you'll likely see at SMSFA in March next year, February next year, sorry, February 24 to 27 or something in Melbourne. We'll be there, so please reach out and make sure you come say g'day. Okay, so Reese, if you're still on the line, mate, let's get into some questions. I'm not sure if you're still there. So we've got about 5 minutes to do some questions. So yeah, let's see. You're here.
Sorry, I was just unmuting, Gary. There is a question about whether reports can solely be done in portrait orientation. So obviously when we're designing reports, we have a rule that general finance reports go up in portrait, investment reports usually go in landscape. And also there some of those reports that I was showing off that, you know, if you moved it to portrait, you wouldn't be able to fit all the columns in. So yeah, there is no way to customize between portrait and landscape. I got another question about...
Sorry, mate, you go ahead if you found something.
Yeah. There was another one about how accurate is Data Hero. You know, it might sound biased, but I think Data Hero is quite accurate. Sometimes, you know, it's not perfect. Sometimes I've noticed it might miss a table when it's trying to extract it. But whenever it can identify a table, which is 99% of the time, I've never seen an error.
Yeah, I think covering off on that, we've done a lot of work in the background on mapping bank statements, etc. For the last, you know, how long? Probably 2 years, mate. Right? So yeah. I think we cover off on. I think the answer is upwards of 90% of all the banks. So and it's very accurate in terms of what it can do. There's always exception rules here and there, but for the most part, it's very accurate. I think you can rely on everything that it produces. That's a good question, Marie, in relation to, is there a combined price for SuperMate, SMSF and Portfolio? It's something that we haven't thought about until much recently, so we will have some more comms around that very shortly, and we'll give you that answer in due time. So is Glenn's got, what's the pricing on SuperMate Classic Portfolio? I think it's the same now. Is that your understanding as well, Reese? I'm pretty sure that the Classic and the SuperMate portfolios that we've just demonstrated now is the same price, which is why there's little need to worry about Classic. Is that your understanding as well?
That's correct. Yeah, well, we're moving towards the same pricing.
Yeah, that's right. So what we're trying to say there is that whilst the Classic one has been around for quite some time, we know that the new one is really good and you'll really enjoy it, and it has all the same functionality that the new SuperMate has. So we're not making price an impediment to you, any current clients moving. All right, anything else you see on there, mate?
Minimum subscription level.
Good question. Is it 5?
Yeah, for the new SuperMate, it'll be 5.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same for the new SuperMate, exactly. So, Peter, thanks for the question. The minimum subscription for SuperMate Portfolio is 5 at this point. Anything else? I know there was some from Coco, which I think, Coco, thanks for your questions, and same for Tiffany. We've got some very specific questions, we'll get one of our success guys and guys that deal with that to reach out to you to make sure that that's all squared away. If we haven't seen anything there was one that I wanted to touch on. Will Data Hero be able to read tax statement reports from the likes of Hub24 and I'm assuming JBWare? So whilst it does an awful lot, does it do those at this point? Reese, you know the answer to that one?
At this point, it doesn't. So obviously, if you rip off the the cash report, you can upload the cash report at Data Hero, read that and process the cash. But we're still working on implementing it, reading an entire report and grabbing sections out and going like, I'll grab the distributions from here, I'll grab dividends from here, and here's the revenue component. So we haven't quite got there yet, but it is on our roadmap. It's a bigger piece of work.
It's a bigger piece of work. Like try and have the Data Hero extract from 60 odd pages is quite difficult. So it can do the ones that you get the listed ones from, no problems at all. Like I do them for Sydney airports and Sydney roads all the time on mine, and it reads it no worries. It's always accurate. So also. So there's a couple of other ones there we'll address outside of this as well. There was another one here that I thought we were going to talk about. Let me just see if I can find it. Sorry, guys. Someone asked if we have feeds in SuperMate for trust. Sorry. So generally everything that you have in SuperMate now, if it's a feed, it will feed in SuperMate Portfolio. So if you're able to feed, whatever trust or whatever bank statement that is in SuperMate Classic or SuperMate, the new SuperMate, you'll be able to do that in SuperMate Portfolio as well. There's some issues around accounts, so we'll talk about that later. We'll have to get someone to contact you on that. Is there any instructions, Reese? Any instructions? Coco said, will Super Concepts provide us with some user instructions on existing trust company portfolio setups?
Yes, we do have our help system, which I didn't demo off, but on the top right of the system, we do have help, and it does give you a step-by-step instruction on how not only setting up trusts, etc., work, but basically anything you see in the new SuperMate, there'll be a help page on that can step you through. But we also have like a success team, which will, if you do get stuck, we have success and support, which can help out.
Yeah, no problems. There was a question as well in relation to obviously the account setup. Yeah, in terms of like beneficiary and unit holders and stuff like that. Do you want to hit on that one?
With the portfolio, it's different to SMSFs, obviously. There's no compliance, there's no member, there's no members, so you can put portfolio holders in, but generally how a portfolio works is it's a pool of cash. It doesn't get split between members or portfolio members. It's just pooled into there. So if money goes in, it just goes into the portfolio.
Cool. No, that's great. All right. What else have we got? Anything else? See anything else that we got? We've got maybe 1 or 2 minutes left.
Yeah. I'll probably just point out that to ask if you could please register any of your interest in the survey at the conclusion of the webinar, and Gary will be in contact. So how to profit distribute to the beneficiaries. So you get the overall distribution, and you have the general percentages that you know, or if you know that there is a certain percentage, you can apply that percentage to the profit distribution.
Yeah. That's very good. Look, I think that's probably we'll call time on that because we're right pushing up against the next one. So I do thank you for everyone for submitting all those questions, and any that we haven't got to, we have a list of them. We'll make sure we get out to you and respond to those as quickly as we can. As Reese and our tech guys mentioned in the questions, there is a survey that accompanies this. If you want to register your details or your interest, please use that as a form initially, or you can reach out to me via my contact details, which should be on the screen right now. So you can hit me at the Super Concepts email address or the mobile there as well. Thanks, Reese, for showing us the demo today. I think it was really well done. We miss Andy, so get well soon, mate. We'll talk to you soon. And for the rest of you, thank you for joining us today. It's been really great to showcase how SuperMate Portfolio has really used the SuperMate power and the engine to make portfolios easier, efficient, and ultimately a better experience for you using them. We look forward to seeing you again on the next webinar. So it probably won't be till next year now. So we wish you all a safe and Merry Christmas and New Year, and we'll certainly see you for a webinar probably before SMSF A conference in February. So we'll see you all then. Thanks very much for jumping on. We'll talk to you next time.